Florida is one of many states attempting to strike back against the scourge of people voting in elections. But DeSantis decided to make this horrible effort somehow worse and weirder at the same time. So they were going to have a signing for it. And the vast majority of journalists who were going to cover it discovered that that was not going to happen. We have this tweet showing news media barred from entry at the signing of controversial elections bill SB 90. DeSantis spokeswoman Taryn Fenske says the bill signing is a Fox exclusive. I've never heard that about like a non-political, like a policy thing. But it was true, and not just a Fox exclusive, it was also for the Friends. So take a look at this video.
The pandemic. So after the pandemic, Governor, a lot of people loosened up the rules because a lot of people didn't want to come out of the house. There were drop boxes, no excuse, mail-in balloting and things to that nature. After years of struggling on election day and maybe extending it too long, most famously in 2000, you guys pretty much pulled it off flawlessly last time around, and you were able to get the results in. Now it's time for people to rein in and have a non-pandemic election. In over 30 states, they've made reforms. You're doing the same thing. What's going to be different about Florida's election in 2022? What are you about to sign?
So right now I have what we think is the strongest election integrity measures in the country. I'm actually going to sign it right here. It's going to take effect. So
there you go.
Bill is signed.
So yeah, a Republican governor signed a voter suppression bill live on Fox and Friends. They hate the biased fake news. They thought that MSNBC was too close to Obama, and now they're giving exclusive bill signings to a morning show that Steve Doocy is on. And I understand that Kilmeade is not necessarily a person who is known for his intellectual rigor. He did sort of get fought to a stalemate in a debate with a 6th grader yesterday. But that said, he just said, you guys managed after all these issues to have an awesome election where you had the results instantly. Now it's time to rein it in. But you just described it as going very well and smoothly and quickly. And what does rein it in mean? You didn't identify any problems there. What is the thing that needs to be reined there, Brian Kilmeade? So there's the bill. The bill is obviously a problem. The weird propaganda thing of having it live on Fox and Friends is a problem. Brett, what are your thoughts?
It's all a problem, and especially the best part is where by his own admission, it was never a problem. That's it. They need the lie. They just repeat lies over and over again. They then legislate based on that lie because they've done their homework. Their homework is to create an audience that only goes to them for the truth and doesn't bear to look outside their bubble. And the truth is that Florida already has a history of really, really sketchy voting, but on the right side, the Republicans with the 2000 election and incest up the wazoo when it comes to who's the elected officials. It was all Bush's. And now you've got a whole group of people behind him insulated in this area where it's hilarious that they're talking specifically about transparency when they could not have a more manicured, insulated, opaque bill signing where they're literally locking the media outside and only showing this little tiny bit. And this later he goes to Simonson sign where he's like, here are the things that we're fixing. Voter ID, you've got to have voter ID. We can go through and have all the things that make that a BS argument where it's essentially a poll tax. It costs people $200 to get the ID that they have, but by his own admission, that wasn't a problem to begin with.
Yeah, they haven't identified any problems or any fraud. That is the simple fact. But they can do this without explaining it because the only people they have to answer to are conceivably the right-wing media who supports voter suppression even more than they do, and Republican voters who have been trained to believe and trust that this is going to help them. That sure, it'll make voting harder, fundamentally anti-democratic, all of that, but it's mainly gonna hurt the sorts of people we don't want voting anyway, so they're cool with it. So they don't need to make a case. They have, the Republican Party in general has very little that they want to do, and the things that they want to do, they just know their base wants it, so they don't need to explain it. They don't have to come up with some sort of rational explanation as to why they would pursue these things. They can just do it because their base trusts that this is going to benefit them, or at the very least distract them, like talking about, potatoes and Dr. Seuss and all of that. Anyway, the whole thing is just disgusting. The Fox and Friends being a willful part, it's the weirdest thing. They went from having Trump on day after day after day while he was a candidate, then the cushy relationship with him while he was president. Now they're seeming to try to build that same relationship with Ron DeSantis. Do with that information what you will, but the entire thing is just disgusting.
So just to give you an idea, last thing is about Florida. Florida itself, that state is already the result of insane gerrymandering and BS tricks that happen in the state house, basically resulting in a disproportionate representation for Republicans over Democrats. That is the fraud. That's what's frustrating. In a state that went 51-48, Trump over Biden, their roll boy, 51-48, 65% of the state representatives are Republicans.
Yep.
That seems a little strange to me.
Majorities. Yeah.
Overwhelming majorities, disproportionate to how many people voted for Republicans. Republicans are represented. That's insane. That's the thing that you should be looking into. That's the thing that doesn't make any sense. And when we're crafting this most Americans agree agenda, the one thing that is the clearest is that in every single vote, Republicans end up with more representation, even though fewer people voted for them.
Yeah.
That's a problem that they should look into. Not whether someone has voter ID, not whether they should, stop the voter fraud convictions when they don't have any.
Yeah. Of course, they're not going to do that. And the amazing thing is, to change that, you would have to overcome it, and it's by its very nature incredibly difficult to overcome.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.